Anyways, I am your co-host this evening, as I always am every Monday night. I am personally sponsored by Ellen, and we've been friends for almost 20 years now, so for a very
Hey,
long time.
I am your co-host this evening.
Okay, and we're getting the feedback, Ellen. But anyways, for those of you who don't know Ellen, just a little bit of background about her. She is currently living in Dallas, Georgia, which is where she grew up on her family's farm. And she worked in the restaurant industry for many, many years and worked her way up with Domino's Pizza up to a district manager, I believe the title is. I don't have my notes in front of me, Ellen. And she was also a training manager, but she managed most of the stores in the Georgia area and has a lot of experience with that. But she decided, you know what, I've had enough of corporate life and became a business owner. And she opened up her own pizza restaurant and had a couple of locations with that. And then she decided to get out of that industry completely. And she ended up, she's had several different businesses since then. She currently still owns a limousine company that she's had for almost 10 years now. But she was also introduced a little over 20 years ago to network marketing and has had some phenomenal success with that. That's how I met her initially. She was one of my team leaders in another company. And at the time, she was also the national training director for that company. So we're very fortunate. Ellen has experience as a business owner, so she knows what our clients are going through as far as needing money. Um, she has been a leader in network marketing and she's got phenomenal training experience, and we get to take advantage of all of that. So without further ado, Miss Ellen, can you go ahead and take it away?
I can, Harlequin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome everybody. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. As Harlequin said, we do these every Monday. If you're watching us on the replay, thanks for taking time out to do that. Yeah, I was thinking, I was listening to David's leadership Zoom earlier today, and then I was listening to part of it again just before we got started here. And I think the biggest key to success that most agents with DAC miss, and that is go build a team, right? It's not very difficult to build a team, and it doesn't require a lot of effort on your part to build a team. I think some people get started and they go, well, I want to build a team, but I want to show that I've had success first and prove that it works. Guys, DAC has funded millions of dollars to business owners, and they've paid out millions of dollars in commissions to agents. So the model is proven, the funding is proven. All we need is more people that are talking about DAC, and that means recruiting agents is the best way to grow our business. One number that really has stuck out to me that David has repeated here recently, and that is that 60% of our new fundings are coming from brand new agents. So what does that tell you, right? If you go recruit 10 new agents, it's very likely that one of those new agents is going to get a funding because they're coming in, they're getting started, they're excited about DAC, they're excited about this new business, and they are much more likely to be out there telling people about this new funding program that they've gotten involved with and offering it to business owners. They're more likely to be telling people than agents that have been with us for weeks or months, because that initial excitement is the um, is the firing point that gets them off of the starting block and out into communication, posting things on social media. And in return, if 60% of our new funding are coming from new agents, and you're the one that recruits that new agent, how much do you make off of what they make? Well, if you don't know, the answer is a 10% match. So if you have a new agent that goes and earns $1,000 in commissions because they were excited and they brought on someone that got funding. If they earn $1,000, you automatically earn 10% match. So you automatically earn $100 because your new agent made $1,000 without you having to do anything, without you having to get any customers, without you being in your first 60 days. It's just period. David has changed the comp plan. You used to have to get customers, and you used to have to be qualified to earn that 10% match. But he's gone back to where it was when I first got started as an agent, that you're going to earn 10% match on your personally enrolled agent's commission, their base commission, just for recruiting them. Of course, you have to be an active agent, meaning you have to be plugged in and renew your position every year. But there's no client gathering requirement on your part. So just spreading the word about DAC is a great way for you to grow your income. Of course, if you get funding clients on your own, you're going to make all of the commission, right? I remember my first commission check was $6,750. How do I remember that? Well, it was a huge check just for having one conversation with a client that I don't even know where they came from. I'd been posting on social media. I'd made some posts on Google Business, a free Google Business listing, and this particular business found me. They called me. I was nervous as all get out when they called, and I just hung on the phone and got in front of my computer over to the website so that I could use some of the bullet points on the website to ask them some pre-qualifying questions. And once I got those questions answered, we got them to fill out the form on the website, and the Bank Breezy team took it away from there. Bank Breezy talked to the client. Bank Breezy got the required documentation from the client. They got the client the money that they were looking for, and in return, I received a commission for $6,750. That was the easiest money I'd ever made. Had I not been posting, had I not gone social, had I not been talking about what we were doing, I never would have gotten that commission check. Now, that was just the first one, and there have been many, many commission checks that had a comma in them that either came from my personal clients or overrides on my team. So if I can leave you guys with anything tonight, and that is just the excitement and enthusiasm of what we have here in our hands. David gives you all the facts and figures, and Wade teaches you all the ins and outs of the funding process. And David also talks about building a team. But I'm telling you from my personal experience as an independent agent here, for those of you that have not heard my story, the way I got recruited into DAC was solely by me having my interest piqued by a video. Friends of mine that had just helped a business owner get funding were telling their story in a Facebook Live video. They just had the phone up, recording themselves, saying, "Hey, everybody, want to tell you guys that we're excited. We just helped a local business owner get 150,000 or however much it was in funding that they needed to help their business grow and expand. They had applied at their bank, and their bank couldn't help them because they were a new business. And us in our new funding opportunity, we were able to help this business get the money that they needed. And in return, we received a commission check it was over $4,000 that they were telling their story about on Facebook. Now, I'm not telling all of you to go tell commission stories because we have to be very careful in that, but that's the video that piqued my interest. And when I saw that, I watched it and I'm going, okay, what are you guys up to that you just made a commission of $4,000 helping somebody? And I wanted to know more. So I sent them a message. On today's Zoom, we had AJ asking David about sending direct messages to people through social media. Well, I sent a direct message because my interest was piqued. When I sent that message, I said, "Hey, what are you guys up to? I saw your video." They immediately sent me a link over to davidallencapital.com/partner/their ID. Same page that we have today. The verbiage and the artwork and every graphics and everything are different today than they were 6.5 years ago. And the video is different than it was 6.5 years ago. But basically the same message, just a few tweaks, right? I saw that and I'm going, man, this is exciting because Harlequin told you my story about having been a business owner when I was in the restaurant space. I needed to borrow money to open my second location, and I did not have collateral. I didn't have the time in business, and I ended up pulling money out of my 401k. I drained my 401k because that was my savings egg that I had to put into the business because I couldn't get it from the bank. So I know personally the pains that business owners go through when they're looking for funding, and either they don't have the resources to get the money, like I didn't because I was new, or they don't have enough time to wait for the lengthy bank process to borrow money. So, guys, we're sitting on a gold mine, but it's up to you to be the one out there sharing the message. And again, 60% of our new fundings are coming from new agents that come in and are just fired up about DAC and the ability to help small business owners get funding without having to go through the bank, without the agent having to be licensed, and with no territory restrictions and no income ceilings and all of that stuff. And training is provided. There's no entry fee. It's provided for free, and you've got daily access to corporate leadership. We've got the best opportunity in the country. We just got to take advantage of it and get the message out to folks. So that's what I want to share with you guys tonight, because I'm excited about where we are. DAC is going to be doing another live Zoom tomorrow night. David is. And he challenged us to each go do our own Zoom sometime this week within the next 7 days, whether it's you just doing a one-on-one with someone, presenting the business opportunity to them. The slides are there in the back office in the Agent Resource Center, or whether it is you doing a one-on-one with a client, but preferably on the recruiting side. That's where the message gets started, is us telling the DAC story, right? Part of my story, I just shared with you guys, my first commission was $6,750. If I had not made any money, my story would be, hey, I just got started with this company. I'm brand new and I haven't made any money yet, but the guy that brought me into the business, or the woman that brought me in the business, or the woman I'm working directly with says her first commission check was over $6,000. So you can tell my story as if it's your story, and share that you know someone that made over $6,000 in their first commission with this company. So be a storyteller and share the message of DAC. So I want to open up and see if anybody's got any questions, or if we've got anything there in the chat that needs to be addressed. I like to keep these meetings short so you guys can get back to your evenings and get back to recruiting. Harlequin, are you seeing anything there? Or is there anything that I did not address that needs to be noted?
No, you did a great job. One thing that I will add is you had reached out to me and timing was not right. You know, I had things going on. My dad was very ill at the time and I was taking care of him until he passed away. And then about a year later, you posted about your first funding. And I think, no, it wasn't that long. But anyways, you had posted something about a funding amount that you had gotten. And so I reached out to you. But my comment is, I know David has mentioned it. I will mention it, and I think you as well, that one of my agents got a funding before I did. And same with David, and I think that's true for you as well, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a lot of agents on my team get a funding before I did, because my team was blowing up. The day that I signed up in DAC, I immediately invited someone that I knew through direct selling, that I knew was in the B2B space, because he had just invited me to like his Facebook page. And I went over and I always peruse the page before I like it to make sure that it aligns with what I'm all about. And as I'm looking at that Facebook page, he's in B2B sales. So after I saw DAC, I immediately went back to him and I sent him a direct message and I said, hey, Glenn, you asked me to like your Facebook page. I just did. As I was checking out your page, it looks like you're doing some B2B stuff. I just ran across an opportunity in the B2B space. It may or may not be a good fit, but if you're open to looking at some information, I'd like to share some info about it. And he responded back within 3 or 4 minutes and said, "Yeah, sure, I'm open to it." And that was all she wrote. I sent him the link to the partner page, just like I had been sent. He watched the video, and after 30 minutes or so, he watched the video, and he actually called me and he said, "Hey, I got some questions. This looks pretty good, but I got some questions." I was brand new. I had just signed up that day. So what did I do? I said, "Hey, those are great questions, but I'm new and I don't want to give you any wrong information. Let me get someone on the phone that can answer those questions. Can I call you back?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So I reached out to my enroller, and then my enrollers were fairly new too, even though they had just gotten funding. They were one of those new ones that were part of the 60% of the new fundings, right? Because they had just gotten a new funding. They reached out to their enroller who'd been with the company for a while, and we actually got her on the phone. She knew the answer to every question. And then we did a three-way call back to my new enrollee, Glenn. And as I'm listening on the phone, listening to Glenn ask questions of Laura. Laura's answering all these questions. And what was I doing? I was sitting here quietly writing notes, taking notes and learning as I was listening to how those questions were being answered. I still have those notes in a 3-ring binder from the very first call that I did. Fast forward, before that day was out, Glenn was excited about what he heard, and he had some people that he knew that he wanted to get on a call. So day one in the business, not only did I recruit someone, but he started recruiting that very same day. So within my first 30 days, I had about 300 people on my team just because of sheer enthusiasm and excitement. And that's what the message that I wanted to share with you guys tonight, because getting excited about something and sharing the word and sharing that message with people, never know when you're going to hit that right person, and that right timing, as Harlequin said, the right timing is what's key. And somebody may just be praying for an opportunity to come along, and you may be the one that delivers that message to them through DAC. So
Yeah.
let's see. Hey, Carlene, I see a message from you. Good to see you tonight. Awesome. Going to be recruiting and presenting this opportunity to a few folks, getting some active agents in from Warm Market. That is great. Yes. God bless you too, Carlene. Good to see you on here. And I see some familiar faces tonight that I've talked to some of you recently on the phone, but always good to see you guys. We're going to wrap up unless you got any questions or comments that you want to make. Feel free to use the react button down at the bottom and do the virtual hand raise. If you got anything you want to share before we wrap up.
Yeah. And actually, Ellen, I wanted to point out, whenever you first got started with DAC, you were working your limousine business like 50 or 60 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So you had very, very little time available to reach out to people.
That's
But
true.
yeah. One other thing I wanted to point out, something that, yeah, I do a lot of training outside of DAC, on the in network marketing. And somebody pointed out a lot of times when you've been in the company for a while and you've talked to your friends and family and you've recruited a few people, one of the things that tends to happen is you tend to have people who are like you. They're the same age, same sex, same skin color, ethnicity, all those different type of things. And the suggestion that they made was, okay, for myself, I'm a white female in my 60s. Make a list of the top 5 people in each category, African American males, African American females, Hispanic males, Hispanic females, and also different age categories. And look at people, who is the most successful person I know in each of those different categories, because it then opens up your thinking to other types of people that you might want to get into your business. And also because you're thinking, who's the most most professional type person, it gets you into that mindset of thinking, okay, who do I know that's a really strong professional person that's in this age range or this ethnicity or wherever they may be from in the world. So just a tip to try and look at something different from what you've been focusing on so far.
Awesome. Well, that takes me back thinking about a memory jogger, which most typical memory joggers are going through the alphabet of what type of job someone has or what industry they're in. So that's a new take on a memory jogger there,
Yeah.
including some diversity in your group. And that's right. I mean, if you look at DAC as a whole, we've got a group of older agents. Not everybody's in their 60s, but more mature agents. We need more young people involved. So when I see Nick and when I see McGuire on there, I think that tends to lead towards younger people being interested because they see something that they can relate to, right? So that being relatable is sometimes having someone that is of the same ethnicity or background or whatever it may be, where you got somebody else that you can relate to. Another thing that we used to use as relatability was professional backgrounds. If someone was talking to a restaurant owner, they'd say, "Hey, I want you to meet my friend Ellen Winn. She's a top leader in the company. She used to be in the restaurant business for over 30 years." Then you've got that commonality and relatability where someone has a common background as well. So good point, Harlequin. I love it. All right, anybody else before we wrap up? I see some of you taking notes up there and just looking around. We're glad you're here. Whatever brought you here tonight, we're glad that you're here and hope that we see you tomorrow. We've got two opportunities on team building tomorrow. We've got 11:30 on daczoom.com, 11:30 Eastern time. We've got David and our weekly team building training. And then tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We have the live BizOp presentation. I see Mark's got his hand up. Hey, Mark Green, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. How you doing?
I'm good, good.
Awesome. It's good to see you too, Harlequin. I always ask Miss Ellen about you. So I had a question for you. I am not in the real estate market, never have been, but I do know that here in California, it has been a challenge, because of the housing crisis and everything, and I know it's kind of tough for them. What would be your suggestion as far as the approach I could have? Because what it is as you know, I'm starting fresh and everything. In fact, I'm probably gonna, whenever you got some time, I want to kind of go over some things with you before I, go out and share or talk. Because I'm following all the details like you share with me. I went on our business page, watched all the videos and everything like that, and I saw some of the approaches, but I wanted to, I was kind of interested in, see if maybe you can help me pick the right kind of card or the 5x7 or whatever. I'm going to talk to you about that because there's a couple of things I'm looking at specifically with our business. But I have quite a few friends that are into real estate, and I just wanted to know maybe you or someone can answer what's been the best approach that a deck agent can kind of pique their interest.
Pique their interest in the opportunity, right?
Yes, and the opportunity.
Okay. Um, a a guy that in the space that I've been following for years. He started recruiting professionals strictly reaching out to real estate agents. So one thing you can do, Mark, is look at the National Realtor site. There's a website. Every state has their own realtor association. You can go to that and you can look up real estate agents in your local area by zip code, and it'll pull up a list of who they are, what company they work for. You can reach out to them that way, or you may want to just look around your neighborhood, and when you see a real estate sign, grab the name of that real estate agent. But here's the line, and here's how he recruited, and he has built a fortune in the industry recruiting real estate agents. And he would reach out to them, and for example, you might say, hey, my name is Mark. I just saw your sign in my neighborhood. I'm not looking for a house, but I got a question for you. As a professional, I'm looking for professionals in my industry as well. Do you at all keep your options open for making money outside of your real estate business? Do you at all keep your options open for making money outside of your real estate business? That's the opening line. And if they say yes, say, great, it may or may not be a fit for you, but I've got some information I would like to send. Is text message or email the best way to deliver that? And then just wait for their response. And when they respond, jot that down, repeat it back to them. And that information that we're going to send them is the 4-minute video on your DAC partner page, right? Because in 4 minutes, when I'm talking to somebody about the opportunity, if they keep their options open for making money outside of what they're currently doing, if they say, yes, I've got some information that I want to show you, it may or may not be a good fit. That may or may not be a good fit gives them an out. It's not like I'm forcing them on anything. And I also say it'll only take you a few minutes to decide if this is a fit. So therefore, start out with that short 4-minute video, which is davidallencapital.com/partner/your ID. And if they watch that in 4 minutes, they'll decide whether they want more information or not. And then they can click the button to watch the full presentation, and then they'll be sucked into it. But you can go through a list of contacts like that. You could reach 100 people a day with that simple question and answer. And with the real estate market the way it is, Mark, these people they're prime prospects for what we do because they're already commission based. They're used to going out finding prospects on their own, and they're probably struggling right now, right? So 9 out of 10 of them are probably going to say, yeah, I keep my options open. What you got? And that's what they're going to ask. And when they say what you got, don't go explaining. David has one way of doing it. He said, I want to tell him I'm with a funding agency and all of this stuff. I think that's personally too much information.
Yes.
And especially for most agents, for new agents, because when you start telling them, you get caught into, you open up a landmine when you start answering questions. So I always default and teach everybody, don't answer questions. Just say, hey, it may or may not be a good fit. It'll only take you a few minutes to decide, would you like for me to text it or email it to you? Get the information, send it to them. And if they start asking questions and say, hey, well, what's it about or what is it? Say, those are great questions. I don't want to give you bits and pieces of the information. I'd rather you see all of it in full context. So if you don't mind, just watch this 4-minute video, and then you'll have a big picture, overview of what's going on. And that's it. And you can always say, and there's no cost to be associated with us whatsoever if they're worried about money, because a lot of times they'll say, well, how much does it cost? Doesn't cost anything. Only take you about 4 minutes to be able to decide if it's a good fit or not. Just keep going back on those basic points, and you'll find people that'll say, yeah, send it over, and they'll take a look at that information all day long. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mark. Great question. All right. Anybody else before we wrap up?
Actually, Ellen, I'm going to make one comment only because Mark said he was looking into getting some of the Connect cards.
Mhm.
Before you place the order, and this is for anybody and everybody, before you place your order, they give you a proof to look at. Send that proof to someone else and have them check your link and your QR code to make sure that it works. Because if you try and check it, you already have your the cookies on your computer, so you're not going to know if it's not working properly. So have somebody else look at it for you.
And another note on that. Thanks,
Thank
Harlan.
you.
That's a
Thank you for
great
saying
point.
that, Harlequin.
Yep. Another note on that is if you're ordering any print material, don't use the David Allen Capital links where you got to add your ID number. You need to be using a private domain name. I've done a training on that, and it's in my email series. If you don't know about domains, I can send you that link. But good point, Harlequin. Hey, Norma Susanna. How How are you tonight?
Hi, good evening, Ellen and everybody. It's nice to be here.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for all of the great information as usual. On the topic of the Connect cards, thank you, Harlequin, thank you both for pointing that out. And I've mainly been focusing on sending people the link, but I do want to now. I'm working actively on getting those cards printed out. And so one of the questions I have is if I can co-brand with my own company, or if I can only just put my name as a agent. So can I put my company logo?
Yeah.
Like for example, you know how Carl has his company, Carl with a K.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was just curious about that. And then I just wanted to also can you just tell me again what you need me to do since I have those cookies to double check on the link for those Connect cards. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so just reach out to me when you get ready to do that link, and I'll make sure that you got the right link on there. I'm putting in the chat right now the training that I have on domains and how to connect that and everything for those of you that aren't familiar with using a private domain name and then connecting your DAC link to that. But I'm happy to help you with that if you just want to reach out to me if you need some verification that you've got the right link. But absolutely.
Okay.
Co-branding, you can put, you know, you can do the co-branding without getting approval on that. If you're using the DAC logo, the independent agent, you want to make sure that DAC is approving any print material. I like going generic. I've got my own company logo and I'm branding under my agency. I don't have DAC out there other than my business card, which was approved by DAC, but everything else I'm doing is pretty much generic. That way people go through, they see my information, then they click on a link, and that link takes them directly over to the David Allen Capital pages, which are all pre-approved for us because those were created by the company. So good question. And
Yeah,
good
wonderful.
seeing you
Thank
tonight.
you. So I'll
Yeah,
reach out
sure.
because I do have my own domain following the // so that should be easy. Okay, great. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
you bet. Sounds good.
Ellen,
Thank you.
I think you replied to Terry, and that link is not showing for everybody.
Oh, no, that went to Carlene. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's do that. Thank you. Yep, I sent it, and you're right. It only went to Carlene. There we go. At everyone. Domains.ellenwin.link. So same as my Zoom link, except domains.ellenwin.link. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us tonight. And I hope to see you on our live Zooms tomorrow and tomorrow night. And hope to see your name listed as the enroller of some new agents coming into our business. Let us know how we can help. Take care, everyone. Have a blessed evening. Thanks
Thank
for showing
you.
up.